Welcome back to an ups. My off mute. Welcome back to an episode of Ministry of Truth. I am your number one host on this show. Well, since we've got 4 days till election, ladies and gentlemen, I am probably just going to do some rallies for you. Got 2 rallies, both yesterday. One with Kamala, what the fuck her name is today, and the other one, Big Don. But before we get to that, did you know the Avengers came together and they decided to do their very own Kamala Harris ad? I don't really think this may or may not have worked out for her because context, right? Context. Let's get into it.
Guys, hi Avengers.
Hey, Scarlett.
Jumping on the call.
Whoa. I think you mean assembling.
Hey.
I said assembling.
Don, that's pretty good.
No, they thought it was funny.
Scarlett, it is our pleasure to come together and to get the vote out this election. Come on.
Yeah, how can we be of service?
Well, how about we start with what our voting plans are going to be, who we're going to bring to the polls with us, that sort of thing.
I think Kamala Harris needs a catchphrase.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh.
Definitely a catchphrase.
How about this? I'm just off the top of my head. I can do this all day.
Shut up.
I hate it.
Okay.
I mean, it's original, but
What about something punchier like,
Ooh, boom. You looking for this?
Iron Man 2, everybody loved it.
okay, again, I think we're just trying to get out the vote.
Kamala forever.
That's better.
Okay,
Kamala.
how about
You're right.
I'm down with democracy? It's just clean, it's simple.
Okay, I like that.
It's hard to argue with that.
Kamala Harris down with democracy.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I say down with democracy.
I don't know if that sounds the way we want it to sound, though.
I think we just need, can we get some production though?
Jarvis?
My name's not Jarvis, but whatever.
Oh yeah, that's right. Down with democracy.
Down with democracy.
Is that what we mean, though?
Yeah, together we're going to tear down democracy.
Will you stop playing heroic music under
No.
yourselves?
Shut up.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I am down with democracy. Did I sound enough like her on that one?
That was great. How many
I wanna
Golden Globes have you been nominated for? I'm just curious.
Yes. All right, that was awesome.
All right, now go back to the fucking hiding hole. Seems like they may or may not have whatever. All right. What do we got next? So, which one do I want to play first? I'm going to show you guys some news clippings from recently, in the past 24 hours at least. Not clippings, but article headlines, right? So the first one we're going to look at. Reuters. Trump suggests Liz Cheney should face firing squad for foreign wars. Rolling Stone. Trump fantasizes about putting Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad. ABC News. Trump uses violent rhetoric to attack war hawk Liz Cheney. Let's see. Let's see if this adds up. All right. Check it out. Let's listen to Trump.
Her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it.
I like
You
it.
know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I used to I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people. So
Yeah.
she's a radical war
If you
hawk.
want to send people to war, maybe you should try going for yourself. Maybe that's why Donald didn't want to send anybody to war, because he knows bone spurs. Unless you're a fortunate son like him and Joe. Oh, whatever. All right. Back to some more propaganda from the lying left. So we're going to listen to, what's up, Batmom? This is going to be Kamala Harris speaking. It's about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Pay attention to the words that she's saying. And then we're going to play some more fake news and then real news. Harris, why don't you do me a favor and just take this away?
And make decisions.
As I started from the beginning.
And remember how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. And now in America, 1 in 3 women lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban.
There is no Trump abortion ban.
Even for rape and incest.
There is no such thing as a Trump abortion ban.
And Donald Trump's not done. Did everyone hear what he just said yesterday?
What?
That he will do what he wants, quote, and here's where I'm going to quote, whether the women like it or not.
Did you do the rest of the quote? My favorite part about politics.
And we must vote because this is the thing. You know,
They're
there's
saying
a
vote,
saying
they're
that you
not
got to
saying
listen
Kamala.
to people when they tell you who they are.
Right.
And this is not the first time he has told
What
us
up, Big Moose?
who he is. He does not believe women should have the agency and authority to make decisions about their own bodies.
That's not what he
This
said.
is the same man who said women should be punished for their choices.
Did he?
He simply does not respect the freedom of women or the intelligence of women to know what's in their own
The freedom
best
intelligence.
interest and make.
Didn't Mark Cuban just say that female Trump supporters are stupid? He said that. Nobody went after him. Suddenly, you know, Mark Cuban says women are stupid and shit like that. It's never happened. Trump says something about women that's taken out of context. It's gold, right?
Decisions accordingly. But we trust women. We trust women. Which is why, yes, we will vote, because we also understand if he was elected, he has been pretty clear in his behavior and his deeds. He will ban abortion nationwide. He will.
Can we get this bitch for election interference? Because that's straight lie. He's said it numerous times. The reason Roe v. Wade was shot down was because they wanted abortions to be at the state level. Not a federal level, like you are trying to tell people it is. What you want to do is you want to allow abortions at the federal level so the state has nothing to do with it. Democracy.
Restrict access to birth control, put IVF treatments at risk, and force states to monitor women's pregnancies. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just Google Project 2025.
Project 2025 is a fucking joke. It was probably written for this election so the left had something to talk about. All right, so they're going to talk about the Trump clip where he's talking about whether the women like it or not. So the top is going to be the edited version of what they put on. Not sure. Better not be RSBN. And the second one is the actual clip.
He said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say. I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. 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 I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. Kamala has imported criminal migrants from prisons and jails, from insane asylums and mental institutions all over the world, from Venezuela to the Congo, including savage criminals who assault, rape, and murder our women and girls. Anyone who would let monsters kidnap and kill our children does not belong anywhere near the Oval Office. And my people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. I said, why? I'm president. I want to protect the women of our country.
Speak up.
They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say. Pay these guys a lot of money. Can you believe it? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
Taken out of context. But that's the media for you. I wouldn't expect anything better. Because you...
And remember how
Hold up, cunt. Wouldn't expect anything better. What's up, Juniper? Lies and propaganda. What's next? What is this one? I already played that. And I already played that. All right, back to YouTube. So those of you that don't know, there was a shooting late last night in Orlando for Halloween. 2 dead, 6 injured. Actually, I think it's 8 injured now. But let's check into this story.
Right now, this is News 6, getting results.
Right now, a mass shooting investigation in the heart of downtown Orlando. Police saying 8 people were shot, 2 of them killed, after a 17-year-old opened fire in the busy bar district. Good morning on your Friday. It is 6 a.m. I'm Crystal Moyer. Bridget has the day off. We'll get to your weather and traffic in just a moment. But first, we want to get straight to our News 6 anchor, Steve Montiero, live from Orlando Police Headquarters. And for those of you just now joining us, Steve, you got an update from the police chief about an hour ago, and police actually showed surveillance footage from that scene.
That's right, Crystal. Look, this is the one thing you and I, even on the desk yesterday, talked that we did not want to happen. And it's the exact same thing that all our law enforcement leaders in Central Florida have been preaching over the past few days. But last night we did have what we are calling a mass shooting, a 17-year-old suspect opening fire on a crowd all over the place. There are 2 separate locations, and we do have video from last night, and we can show you that right now. What you're seeing here is those shots being rung out on security footage in that area. There were 2 separate areas of a shooting scene, and people just started running all throughout downtown. Then on body camera video, you see Orlando Police Department officers that were out there working the security detail identify the shooter and take the suspect to the ground. The crowd there last night was absolutely insane, with thousands of people visiting downtown Orlando. I can tell you from experience, I have been to a Halloween celebration years ago, and I can only imagine that it has gotten way, way bigger over the years. Now, Chief Smith did have some words to talk about during a press conference earlier this morning.
Can you speak to the degree your law enforcement officers were acting? That law enforcement officer sees the suspect, identifies them, and immediately takes him to the ground. Kind of talk the mindset of what your law enforcement officers are encountering in downtown Orlando.
So, in downtown Orlando, but throughout the whole city, and throughout anywhere with law enforcement officers, they're always trained, they're always ready to act. As soon as they heard the shots fired, you can watch any of these videos. None of the officers, went the other way. They didn't go with the crowd.
Yeah,
most of them, got a little bit of cover between them. They started scanning, seeing what was going on, and then they moved. They took action to keep everybody else safe, and that's what these officers do. And that's their job. They did it, and I'm very proud of them.
You heard it right there from Orlando Police Chief Eric Smith. He is proud of his law enforcement officers last night, and this community should also be very proud. Yeah, it is a very tragic situation, but these officers were posted at every single corner. There's not a law enforcement officer not seen in any of the video that we were able to obtain at this point from Orlando Police Department. But we have coverage all through Central Florida right now. Our News 6 Angie Casada is over at Orlando Regional Medical Center, where she has been monitoring the in and out flow over there. Angie.
Yes. There right away as soon as we heard that what happened, and as soon as we arrived at the hospital, there were several family members and friends waiting to hear about their loved ones. Now, some of them were teenagers, some were much older, but the hospital was on lockdown and they couldn't hear anything. A lot of mothers expressing just the wait was just terrible not knowing what was happening with their sons. Now, since then, the hospital is currently on lockdown still, but those family and friends were allowed into the hospital, and we're told that they were put into separate conference rooms to be informed on their loved ones' conditions. We haven't heard back yet, but right now what we know is that there has been a total of 8 victims. 2 have died, and we even spoke to one UCF student who was out celebrating Halloween. He said his friend did not hesitate to step up and protect him.
Good.
He tackled me and a girl to the floor and pretty much shielded us, and he ended up being the one that got shot.
If you had to describe your friend, who is he as a person?
The bravest person I've ever met in my life. The single bravest person I've ever met in my life. Hands down, and I'll never meet anybody braver than that in my life.
And you know, Steve, you mentioned it earlier. This has been, growing up in Central Florida, it's one of the best memories coming out to downtown Orlando, to celebrate
Florida.
Halloween with your friends and your loved ones. So the fact that this even took place has been completely tragic. Of course, we'll keep you updated.
How about that? Always a mass shooting. Now, judging by the fact they haven't come out and stated who the suspect is, I'm just gonna assume it's not white.
We begin tonight with
Election days in 4 days, hence the title. Now, what happens per se if a Michigan student who is a Chinese national, not an American, here on a student visa, votes in our election, which is a felony? Let's see what happens. And wait till you hear they're still going to count it.
a voting violation and felony charges against a University of Michigan student. Thank you so much for joining us for 7 News Detroit at 11. I'm Mike Duffy. The student registered and cast a ballot at an early voting site, even though he is not a U.S. citizen. Other students on campus are speaking out tonight, some not so surprised to hear about it. 7 News Detroit reporter Brett Cast is in Ann Arbor with how this could happen and why the vote will still count.
It's fucking crazy.
Well, one of the 6 early voting locations in the city of Ann Arbor is here on the campus of the University of Michigan at the Museum of Art. And it was here that a non-citizen student from China was not only able to register to vote, but also cast a ballot in this upcoming election. It's hard to walk around a college campus and not realize it's election season. And at the University of Michigan, early voting is already underway.
Everybody here, they shove it in your face like, oh, are you voting? Are you voting? Vote early. Like, everybody needs to vote. And, like, they don't even ask if you're American. And we have a lot of international students.
But Michigan junior Max Friedman was not happy to learn a fellow student from China who is not a U.S. citizen was able to not only register to vote, but also cast a ballot on campus.
So I'm not surprised that it happened, but I'm surprised that, like, it actually counted and they actually got credit for voting.
According to the Secretary of State's office, the 19-year-old student went to the campus early voting site Sunday, registered to vote using his UMID card, showed documents proving residency in Ann Arbor, and signed a document identifying as a U.S. citizen. Since the ballot was filled out and put into the tabulator, there's no way to take it back, and it will count this election.
What do you mean?
I was very surprised. I didn't expect it to be possible because when I voted, it required a lot of proof.
Freshman Benjamin Zhang spent a decade in China but was born in the U.S. However, he has friends who aren't citizens, like Xing Shenli, also from China, who said he's not surprised the student who voted is facing a felony charge.
I kind of expect that because I know how voting is the right as a citizen, and it's a big deal. So any foreigner don't want to mess with it.
The issue was discovered after the student contacted the Ann Arbor clerk's office and asked to get the ballot back. The clerk then reported it to police.
This is the one time it was documented. How many other times is this happening that we don't really know about?
In a statement, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson said, quote, non-citizen voting is an extremely isolated and rare event. Investigations in multiple states...
Non-citizen voting is rare? Then why the fuck did the Supreme Court say, go ahead, Virginia, if they're not legally allowed to vote, remove them from your rolls? Because they're not citizens. So if we know it's happening everywhere. And now we know Michigan, they're counting them. They're letting them vote with a fucking student ID.
and nationwide have found no evidence of large numbers of non-citizens registering to vote. Even less common is a non-citizen actually casting a ballot. When it does happen, we take it extremely seriously. And the fines for voting as a non-citizen could include jail time, fines, and even
that clown
deportation.
hadn't come in and said, "Hey, can I have my ballot back?" Nobody would have known this cocksucker fucking voted. What's up, Harper? Right, from one corrupt government entity to another, the military-industrial complex. The military-industrial complex, you know, Boeing so far, makes plenty of our aircrafts for the military, which means they can pretty much set any price they want. What's up, A-Cops? So let's just see. Is Boeing overcharging us overcharging, you know, me and you, taxpayers, to fix these military aircrafts, which, by the way, they're not being fixed. Look at the helicopters. Tons of issues still happening. Cheap parts, lack of equipment, lack of manpower, because we're a more diverse and equitable and inclusive military. Oops, wrong button.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Liberty Report. With us today, we have Daniel McAdams, our co-host. Daniel, you got here on time. You came through the thunderstorm.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of a storm out there.
Yeah, it's been so dry these past couple of months. I'm happy to hear it, even though our listeners may be a little bit annoyed. I'm happy to hear it.
We have to mow our lawn in the wintertime, you know,
Yeah.
so we'll get to do that.
I just
Anyway,
got my
we
lawn for the
sort of have
last
a pause
time.
on that, and
Spring.
we will manage and do our very best to get our information out to you. And we want to start off with an article that came out of the Libertarian Institute, and it has to do with abuse at the Pentagon. You know, I've worked for a long time about auditing the Fed. Then somebody says, "Don't you know we don't even audit the Pentagon?"
Yeah, can't.
so
If we do, we find millions and
secret or
billions
big
of dollars
time
with
that the people don't
Right, 9/11?
get to look at it. But it also means the members of Congress don't
Yeah.
know about it either. Only a few will know about it. But the headline is Boeing overcharged Pentagon for spare plane parts, including SOAP dispensers, soap dispensers, at 8,000% markup.
Wow.
Well,
Damn.
that sounds like just a technical flaw or something.
Just a
But
glitch.
this whole thing is such a monster. And they come on and they can find the corruption where they lie and cheat and make a lot of money. But the one point that we may talk a lot about it is the process. Even if they followed all the regs and did it and got the appropriation that were out in the open, what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
We shouldn't even be doing it at all. You know, all these wars without authority.
Isn't Nikki Haley, or wasn't Nikki Haley part of the board for Boeing at one point?
And all with fiat money. So anyway, but this story broke now, and it really doesn't surprise me. We know this stuff goes on, but hopefully the American people would get disgusted with this, and I think a few are. I think people aren't avoiding completely and totally the military-industrial complex and are starting to realize that there's a lot of abuse there, and that's what's going to be necessary if they ever start cutting spending. But we have to prepare the stage for when the real cuts will occur, and the market will help us there, because they're not going to be able to manage a system that's totally out of control with runaway inflation.
Yeah, let's put that first article up. And again, we're grateful to Kyle and the Libertarian Institute. We saw this on antiwar.com. Pretty funny graphic here. Boeing overcharged, as you say, Dr. Paul, the Pentagon for spare parts. 8,000% markup on soap dispensers. I want to get one of those. I wonder what they look like, you know? I mean, I just go down to H-E-B and buy it for $2. I'm going to save some money. But let's go into the next piece of this next clip, and this is about a report from the Pentagon's Inspector General found that Boeing massively overcharged the DoD for spare parts on the C-17 Globemaster, which has been very active lately, bringing stuff over to Israel and the Middle East.
To and from
Overcharge included pricing replacement soap dispensers at 80 times the market value. Now, I think the reason we wanted to talk about this, Dr. Paul, is not necessarily that this is the smoking gun. Aha, we got them. Here's what they're doing. This is why everything. I think what makes this attractive is to talk about it as the tip of the iceberg. If they're going to charge 8,000% for a soap dispenser, this is the old in the 80s. Remember the $10,000 toilet seat? If they're going to charge this, then there's a lot of other things below the surface of the water, and it's just indicative of having this military industrial complex that doesn't serve the U.S. national interest. It doesn't serve our needs as a country. It doesn't protect us. It serves the people that are well connected, that are making 8,000% on their investments.
Right. And this is the nature of big government. So this happens in the most patriotic thing that people accept, and it's the military. We have to support the military. And remember how the votes are shifting a little bit, but some of the votes, it used to be about 5 or up to maybe 10 people would even decide to vote against some of this military expenditures. But I think there are more of that now, because the American people are sending a message that why are you sending all this money to Ukraine when we have hurricanes and floods and all the problems of this country? And if you had to make a choice, it should be an easy choice there. But it's a system that was destined to do this, and now it's out of control. And I don't know. There will be a lot of people holding their breath. What's the new election going to be? Are the Republicans going to be in charge? Are the Democrats in charge? And I hope I'm wrong on my cynical approach that, generally speaking, on the big issues, nothing really changes with an election, because the control that they have is at the grassroots, each congressman, and they can't do it. And they always told me, that's all right, you might be doing that thing, but if they don't stay in, because they'd be on the verge of, I can become chairman of this and really do some good.
A lot of generals, that's what they do. They get out of the military, and they work for the military-industrial complex in executive positions.
Become chairman.
Yeah. Well, another reason we're talking about this today is just last week we talked about
this motherfucker's eyes really are
I'll put this next one up as a reminder to our viewers. A couple weeks ago, Raytheon was forced to pay more than $950 million to settle foreign bribery and export control frauds. So they overcharged, they bribed foreigners, they were fraudulent in their export control. It really does sound like a mafia gang rather than people who are building rockets that we need to protect ourselves. It's no wonder that our current defense secretary, Lloyd Austin, comes from Raytheon. You make the big bucks when you're in there, and then you come and you work in government and guide our policy in a way that benefits them, and then when you're done, you go back and sit in your fancy job again.
But you know what is sort of scary? Raytheon was fined, $1 billion?
Yeah.
And I think, $1 billion used to be a lot of money. Now they'd hardly blink an eye.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll make that up next month's billing.
Overcharge. Yeah, we'll overcharge that much again. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is legal fees that we have to pay to stay in business. So.
Yeah. Well, the broader aspect of this, I think, is something that's called the defense death spiral. My good friend, Chuck Spinney, who I've known for 25 years, he worked closely with Colonel John Boyd, who's one of the greatest military minds that we've ever produced in the U.S., a father of the F-16, which is the greatest fighter we've ever produced. Nevertheless, they came up with this idea of a defense death spiral. And put this next one up because this is why it's so important. Responsible Statecraft, to their credit, they published a piece by Dan Grazier about a week or so ago.
So the military moved away from the Beretta, went to a SIG for the pistol. The military just moved away from the Colt M4 to another, is it Springfield or SIG? Using German weapons for military weapons in the military. Not gonna lie, SIGs are pretty fucking amazing weapons, but they're not cheap. And they're buying at the military rate.
Defense death spiral. Now here's the basic idea of it, Dr. Paul, which is that, and he starts it out by saying, a basic truth in Washington is that almost every single new weapon system ends up costing significantly more than the one it's replacing. And we've seen that over and over again. Now go to the next one. Now John Boyd, I just mentioned, his friends in the military reform movement during the late Cold War years warned us about the military-industrial congressional complex 50 years ago. The small band of Pentagon insiders saw with their own eyes how the political economy created by the financial and political connections between the military elite, the defense industry, and society's ruling class wasted precious resources, and produced a series of deeply flawed weapons. So you get the worst of all worlds. You get weapons that don't work, that cost many times more than they should cost, and you get far fewer of them. So it's the absolute worst of all worlds.
You know, I want to read a short sentence here in this article, making a point that we've talked about a lot. Nobody will be surprised, but they closed it out. There exists a revolving door.
Yeah.
Between the Department of Defense and the weapons makers that receive hundreds of billions of dollars in contracts from the Pentagon each year. And it looks like Secretary Lloyd Austin, you know, he used to be on the board with Raytheon. I guess he would have a special relationship there.
Very special.
But anyway, there is, and there's it's the one in the pharmaceutical industry has been recognized for a long time. But I imagine that happens at everything. Maybe building roads with highways and medical, and it's incestuous. You have to take care of your friends. You know, how can I get reelected if they don't help me get reelected so I can do all these good things I do?
Yeah, exactly. Keep getting elected.
So the Abrams tank, which is what we currently use right now, cost $11 million to build, and then average yearly cost is $2 million a year. I'm sorry, that's just for the tanks. $2 million a year just for the gas tanks. Wow. And we have 400 in the Marines and 3,800 in the Army. Oh, shit. Let me rephrase that. We have 5,000 in the Army and 400 in the Marines. That's a lot of fucking money with only 3,800 of them sitting in storage.
Very happy to be invited earlier this week to give a briefing to an online seminar called The Prospects of Realism and Restraint after the elections. It was about 30
Give it a couple more days, Art.
Maybe restraint and foreign policy experts. And
who knows?
It was basically a brainstorming session. And one of the things, obviously, you can't talk about specifically because it was a Chatham House Rules event, but one of the things that most of the people participating, these foreign policy experts participating, pointed out is the key to this is the money issue. The way to connect, and we've been talking about this till we're blue in the face, literally, the way to connect with the average American is to explain to them that they're getting ripped off. Now that's not their words, that's my words that they were saying. So that is the key, that's what we have to convey to people, that we are not getting defense from this money. And this is just example after example after example of this that we keep talking about. And somehow if we can connect that, I think we would start having some more realism in our policy.
I do not.
Well, they do two things. What they use is, you know, patriotism. If you don't do it, you're not patriotic. And also, if you don't do the things necessary for the military-industrial complex to have this, then you're endangering our country. You know, there's a great deal of danger out there. So people do go along with that. And then I bet you there's a lot of people that because
he's a former medic too. That's pretty pimp.
They distribute these jobs throughout the country. There's a lot of people say, you know, well, yeah, that may be true, but I have a good job, you know, and in the industry.
Well, the thing is, if you care about the actual defense of this country, this defense debt spiral should terrify you. Even people who who want maybe a tenth of the military spending that we spend should be concerned. And here's one more quote from the article that's very important. I think this is the most important aspect of it.
Definitely check this out.
And in a way, it's a tongue-in-cheek comment. If you can put that next one up. So left, this is Dan Glazier writing for Responsible
Especially when I click on the first video and it says Rangers lead the way.
Unchecked, the acquisition death spiral's inevitable destination is unilateral.
Well, they're trying everything they can right now, Art. They're trying to make it look like he's sexist, racist. What else? Dictator. There's so many things that I can't remember right now. It's kind of fucking weird.
Unilateral disarmament. Norman Augustine, a former
I'm a
It's my responsibility.
So now we're going to step into two different Two different rallies from yesterday. We're going to have Kamala first, and I'm not going to say that she can't speak, but hers lasted only 45 minutes. Then we're going to watch Donald Trump's rally from yesterday as well in New Mexico, and it's over an hour and a half. So before we get out, let's listen to Kamala Harris in her NBC exclusive interview.
It's my responsibility to be everywhere I can to talk directly with voters and talk with them about the issues that are at stake in this election.
There it is. There's one.
So that I can earn their vote. And so that's why I'm here today in Arizona, why yesterday
call
I was
them
in Wisconsin,
anti-Semitic.
Pennsylvania, and I'm going to be all over the country pretty much, especially in the swing states, talking with folks about the issues that relate to them and the contrast between me and Donald Trump.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama says she stays up at night wondering why this election is so close. Do you do that? What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night are the challenges that face the American family and my role and responsibility in my to-do list to address those issues, whether it be on bringing down the cost of groceries, bringing down the cost of housing, what we need to do to make sure childcare is affordable for working families.
Giving
what I will do to
$25,000 tax credits to people buying houses, it's not going to bring the prices down. You fucking clown. Maybe the interest rates, but not the housing.
make sure that Medicare covers in-home care for seniors. Those are the things that keep me up, which is doing the work that will directly impact the people of America. And this, again, is a big contrast between...
I'm hoping he wins. More than likely it's going to get thrown out, but it's just the sting that's going to happen to CBS, sorry.
Me and Donald Trump. He spends full time talking about himself, his personal grievances,
remember that.
his
He's
enemies
spend
list.
an hour and a half talking about it.
On day one, I will walk into the Oval Office with my to-do list, which is about helping the American people deal with their challenges and also tap into their ambitions and dreams.
Former President Donald Trump has said that he would be a protector of women, whether they like it or not. What do you make of that, and how does that contrast with your views on women and their rights and needs?
Well, I'll just speak on behalf of myself, but also the Americans that I speak with every day around our country, regardless of their gender, which is the majority of Americans believe that women are intelligent enough and should have and be respected for their agency to make decisions for themselves about what is in their best interest and not have their government, and certainly not Donald Trump, telling them what to do. And his latest comment is just the most recent in a series of examples that we have seen from him in his words and deeds about how he devalues the ability of women to have the choice and the freedom.
So Trump calls women stupid, huh? They can't make their own decisions, huh? Imagine if a Democrat said that. What would happen? Where would the outrage be? Did it happen?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it'll put her over the edge with Nikki Haley supporters. Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them. And, you know, Nikki Haley will call him on his nonsense with reproductive rights and how he sees and treats and talks about women. I mean,
well, tell him how you really think, Mark Cuban. Why did my camera go off? Marky Mark. Care to explain that? He doesn't.
To make decisions about their own
It's on the
body.
views. They're like,
Former President Trump also rode around in a garbage truck to call attention to President Biden's comments about his supporters and their rhetoric. Are you concerned that President Biden's comments might undermine your own messaging that you want to be a president for all Americans?
Well, I've addressed how I feel about those comments. One, that the president explained what he meant. But two, I do not believe, and I will speak for myself, that we should ever criticize people based on who they vote for. But let's understand again where we are in this election. On the one hand,
she doesn't criticize people for who they vote for? Huh. You don't?
you have Donald Trump,
who refers to people by the most demeaning words, who attempts to really take from them the dignity that they so rightly deserve. He is someone who talks full-time about the enemy within. He speaks ill of America. He refers to us as a garbage can. And he does not understand that most people are exhausted with his rhetoric.
What?
Can. He speaks ill of America. He refers to us as a garbage can.
Donald Trump called them a garbage can? I mean, if I'm garbage and you're garbage can, does that mean I'm filling you up? I mean, not you personally. There's plenty of other liberals that could fit that bill. You're not one of them.
And he does not understand that most people are exhausted with his rhetoric, exhausted with that approach, exhausted with an approach that Donald Trump has that's trying to divide our country and have Americans point fingers at each other. They're done with it, and they're ready to turn the page and accept and receive a new generation of leadership, which I offer.
As he and his supporters grab onto that language, though, from President Biden, you're not at all concerned that that might undermine your messaging?
I am very clear that in this election, what the American people want most is to know that I have a plan, that we have a plan to bring down the cost of living.
Her eyes are not even looking at the reporter. They're looking to the left of her. Interesting.
Invest in American families, invest in small businesses, invest in our economy. I am proud that I have the support of leading economists in our nation who recognize that I actually have a specific plan and that it will strengthen America's economy. He has very little of a plan besides giving tax breaks to the richest people, and his plan, whatever it may be, will actually weaken our economy.
I've talked to Americans from all across this country in all walks of life who are inspired by your story. What's your message to them as they are looking at your journey, especially the history that you are making and might make as the first Black woman and Indian woman to break down this glass ceiling?
And even in charge of MK Ultra. That's why you went to school in Canada.
Now, of course, making the history that you're making now.
Well, you know, you've probably heard me say many times. My mother said to me, Kamala, you may be the first to do many things. Make sure you're not the last.
Mom never said
and what I see in the people who are coming to rallies such as this are, you know, young men, young women, people of every age, every background, every race, who are excited about the possibility of a new generation of leadership and excited about the fact that they have a choice to have a president of the United States who actually sees them, gets them, and wants to do the hard work that is about improving their life.
Day one, what's your first executive action?
Well, my first priority, which will be probably the package of bills, is about bringing down the cost of living. So
that's not what she asked, you stupid bitch.
Child care. It's about what we need to do to deal with grocery prices.
That's not what she asked, you stupid bitch.
It's not one, it's a package that
no,
is with
you
one
said executive
single
action, not fucking bills, you stupid bitch.
Purpose, bringing down the cost of living.
We have to go, but you talk about your mother.
That's what I've been reading.
What do you think your mother would be telling you in these final days before this election against Donald Trump?
Just go beat him. That's probably what she'd say. Yeah, that's my mother.
Okay. Well, I know she gave you a lot of lessons, so thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Good to talk with you.
I hate to say it, Kamala, but I think that was a totally prepared for an interview. Because when you have, let me see. Right? Reporter. Get in the camera. Here's my reporter. My reporter's over here, right? Right? And if I was looking at the reporter, you know, I'd be kind of like this at least. This is Kamala. My eyes are looking straight at the pig that's over there holding my remote. Not you, Donald. Donald, get it. All right, so wow, were they like right down the street from each other yesterday? Yeah, Kamala was in Nevada, Trump was in New Mexico. All right, so the first one we're going to have, it's Kamala Harris. Let's see how coherent and intelligent and strong this woman is. Let's see. Hopefully her teleprompter doesn't go down. Or hopefully it does. Think on your feet. That's what a president's supposed to do. Kamala's so uncoordinated, she might not even be able to hit those top balls, but she hasn't been. Oh, this is fucking porn music. Get to the gym. Oh, so she doesn't even speak the whole 45 fucking minutes. This is a Harris Waltz music video, guys. No fucking shit. Guys, look at this. That's not Harris. Nobody cares what you have to say.
I had that beautiful baby of her life.
There's Kamala. All right. So 16 minutes and 10 seconds to the video, Kamala Harris comes on stage. Remember. Funny having the song Freedom by Beyonce, who, you know, Obama and them, we're chilling with Diddy. If you look at it like the way their faces are, Donald Trump is darker than Kamala. He did that on purpose. Native American. Wait, when I see this, you know what I think of? Like when you see these feel-good stories or movies, whatnot, and like the retard of the school, they're like, "Oh my god, this retard! We're gonna make them prom queen," and this is the retard. What's up, Yeti?
Oh, it's good to be back. Oh, it's good to be back. Oh, it's good to be back. I have spent a lot of time in Reno over the years, and it is so good to be
No, you
back in
haven't.
Reno. Are we ready to do this? Are we ready to vote?
Already did.
Are we ready to win? Yes. It is so good to be back and with so many incredible leaders. And I want to just start by thanking everyone here for taking time out of your busy lives to be here this afternoon for us.
How many of you are paid right now?
To celebrate each other and community. And I thank you, everyone. I want to thank my dear, dear friend, Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. As you know, we were AGs together. I was in California. She was here. We were fighting
So you're
the good
both
fight,
corrupt.
arm in arm, always together. I want to thank Mayor Sheevy, DNC Chair Jamie Harrison, Michael Gordon with LaUna Local 169,
Wait, can we get to your speech?
and Nevada, please send Jackie Rosen back to the United States Senate. And to all the tribal, elected, and community leaders with us today, I thank you. I thank you.
Oh, I thought she was talking about me. She said tribal leader.
So, Reno, tomorrow, well, by the way, happy Halloween. So, tomorrow, Friday, November 1st, is the last day to vote early in person. And if you are voting by mail, please do not wait. Sign the envelope and return your ballot today. Your
Don't know why you made me do that. That was kind of weird.
drop box or postmarked by Election Day next.
Be careful with those drop boxes. They're spontaneously combusting.
Tuesday, November 5th. So please help get the word out and ask people to go to iwillvote.com if they're not sure. Let's spread the word. And we need you to vote, Nevada. You are going to make the difference in the outcome of this election. And
No.
I thank you.
No, I don't think
I
so.
thank you. So, okay, we got some work to do.
Yeah,
Okay,
I know.
we have 5 days left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime. And we do have work to do. But here's the thing I know about everybody here. We like hard work. Hard work is good work.
Define hard work,
Hard
Kamala.
work is joyful work. And make no mistake.
Not a big fan, but I don't see how hard work is joyful work. Well, when I do it, it really is joyful work. Yeah, if you know, you know.
We will win. We will win. We will win.
You don't sound too confident
One
there.
of the reasons we will win is because I know who the folks are here. I know who you are. And here's the thing about all of us. We know that when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for.
I do.
When you know what to
But we
fight
don't know what you stand. We don't know what you stand for. Hopefully, you're going to tell us. It is a rally.
We know we have an opportunity in this election to turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each other. We're done with that. We're exhausted by
I've heard
it.
this speech before.
We're done with that. We're done with it. And Reno, this is the thing. We know that this is not who we are. That's not who we are. And it is time for a new generation of leadership in America. And I am ready to offer that leadership as the next president of the United States.
No, can you define leadership? To provide purpose, direction, and motivation. Are you ready for? Are you sure you're a leader? You have no purpose. You have no direction. And I'm not very motivated to vote for you.
And Nevada, we're going to... Thank you. All right. Okay. We got work to do.
You've already said that.
So listen, but let me say this, and a lot of folks here know, I am not afraid of tough fights. For decades, as a prosecutor and as top law enforcement officer of the first cousin in Nevada, California, I won fights. I won fights with Catherine against the big banks that ripped off homeowners.
I don't think you did.
Against for-profit colleges that scammed veterans and students. Against
Like Phoenix
predators
University?
who harmed women and children. Against the cartels that trafficked in guns and drugs and human beings. And it is my pledge to you that if you give me the chance to fight on your behalf as president, there is nothing in the world that will stand in my way of fighting for you.
Except for the Constitution.
For the people. And look, we know who Donald Trump is.
I know his type.
Because we all know he is not someone who is thinking about how to make your life better. And this is someone who is increasingly unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance,
Yeah.
and he's out for unchecked power.
You mean the one that
And in
the
less
Supreme
than
Court
9
granted
days,
all presidents? Remember that? Not just Donald Trump, all presidents. Now, no president from the past can be charged for anything they did while they're in office. Y'all do realize that now, right? You can get rid of it. Please do. Because if you do, Barack, Bush, they're coming after you. War criminals.
Either he or I will be sitting in the Oval Office.
That, Mom, always a pleasure. Wait, I already said that.
And listen, here's what we can imagine, right? We've all seen on TV, you've seen the Oval Office, but here's the thing. Just, we have to get the word out to help people even just visually imagine what that day will be. Because if elected, Donald Trump on day one would walk into that office with an enemies list. When I am elected, I will walk in with a to-do list.
Wait, what's on that list?
And at the top of my list is bringing down your cost of living. That will be my focus every single day as president.
Where's the border stand on your list of things to do?
I will give a middle-class tax cut to over 100 million Americans. Enact the first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging on groceries.
There is no price gouging on groceries.
I've taken on that.
You trying to be a socialist? Oh. They're going to control the price of your goods. They're not going to allow the corporations to do it because you know what? It's what socialists do. It's what socialism is.
That issue before, I'll take it on again. I will make housing more affordable by building more homes and taking on corporate landlords who unfairly buy up all these properties and jack up rents.
BlackRock's not gonna like that.
We will fight for working families by raising the minimum wage.
She basically just said, I'm gonna take away BlackRock's ability to own houses. All your houses. Kamala, you do realize that's the exact opposite what you're going to do because you're handlers.
Taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
Trump already said that and you stole it.
And if you're caring for an elderly parent, I took care of my mother when she was sick. Listen, this is personal for me, as so many of these issues. If you are taking care of an elderly parent, my plan will cover the cost of home health care for seniors with Medicare. So you don't have to deplete whatever savings you got to qualify for Medicaid. It's just about dignity so that seniors can stay in their homes and you can be able to do all that you need to do, especially if any of you are in that sandwich generation, raising young kids while you're taking care of your parents. It's just about dignity. My plan.
You act like a lot of people do that. You do realize the majority of the people that do that are brown. Brown people. Hispanics. And Asians.
We will also cut taxes for small businesses. Can I see the small business owners who are here?
Democrats destroyed the small businesses back in 2020.
I love our small businesses. And we will lower healthcare costs because here's where I come from. I believe that healthcare should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it.
Well, can I keep my own then?
So this is about values, right? How do you think about what people need to live with dignity, to live where they are able to work and know that it actually means something, that is not just about getting by, but getting ahead. On the other hand, Donald Trump's answer to the financial pressures you face is the same as it was the last time. Another $1 trillion in tax cuts for billionaires and big corporations. And this time he will pay for it with a 20% national sales tax on everything you buy that is imported. Just imagine, on clothes, food, toys, cell phones. A Trump sales tax that economists have measured will cost you,
bro, don't make me buy this. I don't want to buy this.
An additional $4,000 a year. And on top of that, Donald Trump still wants to get rid rid of the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. And he has a very powerful friend in Congress, the Speaker of the House, who recently, if you noticed, said
There's only one review.
that there will be a, quote, end to Obamacare. The words he used were no Obamacare, which, if he were to get his way, if Trump wins, means they would throw millions of Americans off the health insurance and take us back, which would take us back to when, you'll remember, insurance companies had the ability to deny people with pre-existing conditions. But Nevada, we are not going back. 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 We're not going back. We're not going back. And we are not going back because ours is a fight for the future. And ours is a fight for freedom. Like the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. And we all remember how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade. They did, and now 1 in 3 women in America lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban. Many with no exceptions for rape or incest. You know what? Let me say something about this. We're here because we're fighting for a democracy. Fighting for a democracy. And understand the difference here. Understand the difference here moving forward. Moving forward, understand the difference here. What we are looking at is a difference in this election. Let's move forward and see where we are. Because on the issue, for example, of freedom of choice.
Sorry, guys, I'm like this stubborn guy. I've been using Burberry Brit for as long as I can remember. Fuck.
Democracy can be complicated sometimes. It's okay.
Down with democracy.
We're fighting for the right for people to be heard and not jailed because they speak their mind. We know
all
what's
January
at
6th?
stake. And on the issue of freedom, listen, Donald Trump's not done. Did anybody hear what he had to say just yesterday?
What?
And I'll tell you, it was outrageous. So he said, on the issue of freedom of choice, reproductive freedom, he said that he will do what he wants because, quote, this is his perspective, he will do it whether the women like it or not. Whether the women like it or not. Can you imagine? And this is not the first time he has told us. He does not believe women should have authority or agency over their own bodies.
He's never said that.
This is the same person who said that women should be punished for their choices. And what we know is we know what we are seeing.
He's never said that.
Simply does not respect the freedom of women or the intelligence of women to make decisions about their own lives.
Like your buddy Mark Cuban.
And we know that what he has planned includes a national abortion ban, restricting access to birth control, putting IVF treatments at risk, and forcing states to monitor women's pregnancies. You don't have to take my word for it. Google Project 2025. Read the plans for yourselves. And
Project 2025 is about 900 pages long. Nobody in their right mind is going to sit there and read through all 900 fucking pages. They're going to go with what you're saying, which is way easier because it's the TikTok generation.
We all know that one does not have to abandon their faith or reasonably held beliefs to agree that the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. So Nevada, to protect your right to make your own health care decisions, vote yes on question 6.
Be local. Local. That has nothing to do with federal. So by what you're saying is they shouldn't have to vote because you're going to fix it.
And make sure you vote up and down the ballot to truly protect that right.
He's basically saying vote.
And I will tell you, when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it.
It's going to go right back to the Supreme Court and get shot down again.
Proudly. So, Nevada, I am here asking for your vote. I am asking for your vote. And here is my pledge to you. And I got your back. As president, I pledge to you to seek common ground and common sense solutions to the challenges you face. I am not looking to score political points. I am looking to make progress. And I pledge to listen to experts, to listen to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make, and to listen to people who disagree with me. Because that's what real leaders do. That's what real leaders do. And unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe that the people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table.
My table?
That's what leadership looks like.
You have...
And I pledge to you to always put country above party and self, and to be a president for all Americans.
But you're not going to listen to all Americans.
So it all comes down to this. We are all here together. And again, you are taking this time to be here because we love our country. We love our country. And when you love something, you fight for it. You fight for it. And I do believe it is one of the highest forms of patriotism, of our expression of our love for our country.
Join the military?
To then fight for the ideals of our country and to fight to realize the promise of America. And I'm going to tell you, I have always believed in our nation's promise.
No, the fuck you haven't.
I grew up a child of the civil rights movement. My parents would take me to marches when I was in a stroller.
That's a lie.
And at those places, people from all walks of life came together to fight for the ideals of freedom and opportunity. You know, growing up, I saw how hard my mother worked to give her daughters the same chance our country gave her. And I was blessed to have family by blood and family by love, who instilled in me the values of community and compassion and faith. I've spent my life fighting for the people who have been hurt and who have been counted out, and people who never stopped, even then, believing that in our country anything is possible. I've lived the promise of America, and I see the promise of America in everyone here. It is in all of us. It is in all of us. It is in all of us. It is in the women who refuse to accept a future without reproductive freedom. It is in the men who support them. It is in the fathers and mothers who work hard every day for their children's future. It is in the
Your dad don't even like you.
who never voted for a Democrat before, but have put the Constitution of the United States above party. I see the
So if she says put the, who the fuck are you? Put the Constitution above party. So why would she tell him to vote blue up and down the ballot? That's not putting Constitution before party. That's putting party before Constitution.
Time. And I'll tell you what I love about this generation, Gen Z. I'm gonna shout you out.
Whoa.
Shout you out.
Look from the side, her and AOC have the same mouth.
Let me tell you what I love about you all, you leaders, you young leaders, as you are rightly impatient for change. I love that about you.
Actually, being impatient can lead to unrational thinking. Being impatient is a bad thing.
To live free from gun violence, to take on the climate crisis, to shape the world that you inherit. I love that about you. And for them, I say to everybody else, look, none of this is theoretical.
Aren't Gen Z 18 to 25, Kamala? I believe Gen Z is 18 to 25. Aren't they the stupidest age group in the United States? According to you. Your words, not mine.
For them is a lived experience. It's not political. It's what they're living. And to the young leaders, then I say, I see you. I believe in you. And I see your power. You are so powerful. And I would just ask
leaders
that
don't
we
lead
give
by
it up
power.
for the first-time voters who are in the House.
Providing purpose, direction, motivation. Where in any of those three is power?
Right.
Fucking clapping like a steel.
Our future is bright. You just have to see it in front of you. The future of our country is bright. And so to the people of Nevada, look, you are battle born. And we are ready for the hard work ahead. We have 5 days to get it done. And so look, nobody can sit on the sidelines. Let's spend the next 5 days so that when we look back on these days, we have no regrets. And let us make sure that we are knocking on doors, that we are texting folks, calling folks, reaching out to family and friends and classmates and neighbors and coworkers. And as we do, I have a request. As we do, please let's be intentional about building community.
Huh?
And let's be intentional about building coalitions. You know, these last many years, it's had a way of, trying to make people point their fingers at each other, trying to divide us, trying to make
You haven't done
people
that?
feel alone.
You haven't done any of that?
So let us all, in this moment, be intentional about building back up and reminding folks we have so much more in common than what separates us. So much more. So much more. And so we all know here, your vote is your voice, and your voice is your power. So today, Nevada, I ask you then, Are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
All right, Kamala Harris, 25 minutes. 25 minutes for the Kamala Harris speech. She talked 25 minutes and really said nothing about what she plans to do to make America better. Happy Meth Day, Short Bus. Now that Kamala Harris is done with her 25-minute speech, let's move on to another presidential rally. Well, let's see how long this speech lasts.
But a very big hello. It is
really
an honor to be in New Mexico. I have so many friends. I've been here before, as you know, but we have so many friends, and I'm thrilled to be in this beautiful state with thousands of very proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are.
I'm here.
And I'd like to begin by asking a very, very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? You know, we had per gallon $1.84. We used to say 87. I was corrected by the people in Washington. Can you believe it? 84 cents a gallon, and now you're at $3.50, $4. And let me tell you, after the election, if things didn't go the way they're expected to go, you'd be at $6, $7, $9, $10. But I've come here today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote in this election, I will end inflation. I will stop the massive invasion of criminals into your state. And I will bring back the American dream. We're going to bring back the American dream. It's hard to have an American dream when radical, crazy killers and just horrible, horrible murders. You know, you had coming through your border. Do you know how many you had? 13,099. That's Border Patrol, who endorsed me, by the way, very strongly. And you know what they said about her? She's the worst person they've ever seen having anything to do with the border. She's terrible. You cannot elect her. That's Border Patrol. That's Border Patrol. Do you know that in 4 years, almost 4 years, she never called Border Patrol once, and yet she was in charge of the border.
She only visited the border once, remember that.
That's that. She's a stiff. She's a total stiff, and she lies. She had a news conference today. Trump wants to, let's see, what can we, he's going to cut Social Security. No, I'm not. I'm the one that saved it. He's going to save Social Security. She's going to lose it. And he's against he's against fertilization. He's against fertilization.